Hi, and welcome to NicheCraft. My name is Kassi, and I'm your host, and today I am going to teach you how to make this very simple flower. This is basically done in two steps. First, you make this little circle with typically yellow is used to indicate the pollen area of the flower, and then you just make the petals with chains. Very, very simple. So these two flowers right now are joined together at one petal, and the reason that they're joined together is because I wanted to create a nice drapey garland to use as decoration. All right, you can always if you want to connect them together, you can connect them in just about any way you want, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the flower, and then I'm going to show you the different ways that you can connect them and how to connect them. All right, guys? Okay. I just want to clarify one thing before I start. These flowers were made with my G 4mm hook, all right? Just going to hold that up to the camera so you guys can see, yeah? I am going to use my H 5mm hook to make the next flowers for this particular demonstration. I just think it'll help to be able to see the stitches just a little bit, so they'll be just slightly bigger. It's not gonna matter to me whether my garland looks perfect or not, right? But I just wanted to let you know that. I am working with 3-weight yarn. It was the only yarn I had with this particular color yellow in it, and that is why I am working with that. All right, so we are going to begin with the center of the flower. So now the flowers that I made have 12 petals, and if you want to make a flower with less or even more petals, all you have to do is chain more. I would suggest chaining two less or two more for every 4 petals you want to add, okay? So I am going to be chaining 6 to make a 12 petal flower, okay? And so we start with a slip knot on our hook. I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to join this together with a slip knot. So the way that I join this to create a circle is I put this crochet hook right there into the first loop, and then I am going to pull a slip stitch through here by pulling a loop through both chains. And now I've got a slip stitch with a little circle there, and that is what I'm going to begin my first round with. And this is 2 rounds, okay, very easy. Now I just wanted to say, if you want to make an 8-petal flower, I would suggest chaining 4 and then and then slip stitching that together. And if you would like to make 16, I would suggest chaining 8. Okay, so that's my suggestion for how to do this. And of course, the number of single crochets you're going to make in each one of these flowers is going to be determined by how many petals you want. So I want 12 petals, so I am going to make 12 single crochets. All right, so this tail's kind of long, so I'm going to also hold this here and crochet over it. But if that's too much of a challenge, don't worry about it. It is not something that you have to do. It's just something that I'm doing so that I will have less of a tail to snip off at the end. All right, guys. So for this purpose, I want to make 12 petals. I'm going to do 12 single crochets into this center. So I'm going to put my crochet hook into the center, pull a loop up, and then there is my first single crochet, and I am going to do that 11 more times for a total of 12. Okay, so there's my second, okay, third, and as you make your single crochets, you might find that you run out of room. If you find that happening, you can push these aside to make more room. All right, guys, so I am going to go off camera and make the rest of my single crochets, and I will meet you back with the second round. All right, I'm back. I actually only have 10 currently, and I am going to show you what I meant about pushing them aside. See, I can just push those aside so that I can make my last 2. So I'm going to make my last 2 right here with you guys. So that is 11. And here is single crochet 12. All right. Okay, so I am going to end by slip stitching into this chain right here, the very first stitch we made. And I'm going to pull a loop through that right under that stitch and then pull it through again. So now I have a way to snip off. All right, so I have this center, but the center has this kind of hole in it. So what I want to do is pull on that tail so that it will tighten up there. All right, and now in order to finish this, even though this tail is kind of hidden underneath these, I'm just going to go ahead and secure this by tying them together here. Now I don't need these to be perfect. If you want this to look really, really nice, then what I would suggest is hiding the tails by weaving them in with a yarn needle, and I would suggest taking the yarn needle and going underneath all of these single crochets here and just weaving it in there and then snipping them. But since I don't need these to be perfect, I'm fine with them not looking exactly perfect. I'm just going to tie this little knot and then snip off the ends like that. Okay, so I have the center of my flower, and I am going to continue the pattern of white and pink with white here. And now we are ready for round 2. Okay, so round 2 of the flower, it does not matter where we start. I'm going to just go underneath a stitch and pull a loop through. Okay, so I have a loop right there from underneath the stitch. Now I'm going to take the working side of the yarn, or the yarn that is connected to the ball, and I am going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oopsies, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I am going to find that next stitch from the stitch that I just crocheted into. So I crocheted into this one right here. So I'm going to put my hook underneath the next stitch, and I am going to slip stitch to secure that first petal. All right, so there is my first petal. And if you want your petals to be longer, just go ahead and chain longer, okay? And if you want them to be shorter, chain a shorter chain. Okay, so for my purposes, that is the size of the petals that I want. So I am going to chain 11 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I'm going to find the next stitch right there, and I am going to slip stitch into that. And I am going to continue around until I make the last petal. Now when I make the last petal, I'm going to show you how to join these together, but you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to make a chain out of them. You can just have one by itself and maybe use that to adorn a hat or put on a blanket. You know, there's all sorts of different things that you can do with these flowers. I've just decided that I want to make a flower chain, so that is what I'm doing. Okay, so I will meet up with you when I am at the end of this flower so that I can show you how to join them. I'll see you then. Hi guys. Okay, so I have made 11 petals and I am on my 12th one. This is 6 stitches so far, and how I'm going to attach it to this flower, and again it's going to be a little bit bigger than this because this was made with size weight 3, okay? So I just want to mention that I do know that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my crochet hook into the petal where I want it to be attached to. And then I'm going to take this white yarn that is the working piece of my yarn, okay? And I'm going to pull another chain through there, just as if I was chaining normally, but now they're connected, okay? And so that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and now I'm going to finish my flower the same way I would. This is the stitch that I have left, so I am going to put my hook underneath that stitch, pull up a loop, and slip stitch right there. Okay, and the only difference between this petal and all the rest is that this finishes my flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a big loop through, snip it, and then I'm going to pull this nice and tight. Alright, so I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see. So I've just snipped the tails, and so I have this tail from what I just snipped, and I have this from when I first attached. So I can hide these behind the circle right here if that's something I want to do, or I'm just going to do it a more quick way by tying these together in a knot here, so that I can then just snip those off and continue to make this daisy chain. So as you can see, my daisy chain is continuing to be made, and I have these beautiful flowers here, and you can use whatever color you want. You don't even need to put yellow as your center. That's just the color that I chose. If you want to, you can put more of a gold center, and then you can use yellow as your petals as well. If you're like me and you just love yellow and you can't get enough of it. And this is how to make just a simple daisy chain. Now, if you would like to make, let's say, a fabric just out of these flowers, all you would have to do is, so each side of the flower has 3 petals, okay? If we say that it has 4 sides and we kind of look at it as a square, okay? So each side has 3 petals, right? What I would say is to connect one right here, one right here, one to this side, and one to this side. And what you can do is you can end up making fabric like that. In fact, I'll just go ahead and draw it out for you so that you can visualize it better. So. Alright, so if you would like to make a shawl or a blanket out of these, basically here's how you can do it. So there's 3 petals per side if we're talking about the 12 petal flower. Okay, so what I would suggest is making more flowers and attaching the petals like this. In that center of these 3, put the center of these 3 here, and then again right here. And then in the center of these, add another petal here. And then in the center of these 3, add another petal here. And on, continuing to add petals. So right here you can add the middle right here, and then the middle right here, and then on, so that you can start chaining them up so it makes that beautiful fabric like that. Okay guys, so hopefully you have enjoyed this flower tutorial. I will be showing you other ways to make flowers that are just like this, either as adornments or you know, or any other way. This one is a open petal. The next one I'm going to be showing you is how to make a closed petal flower, but these make really great decorations. You can, like I said before, you can add them to a blanket or a hat or a headband, and you could even make a flower arrangement with them if that's something that you like and that you'd like to do. Very, very easy, just about chaining. And you can even get your kids involved by, you can make the middle, and then you can teach your kids how to chain and slip stitch so that they can make the petals themselves. That is if your kids are a little bit more patient than mine. My kids are a little bit impatient, but my daughter is learning crochet and she's enjoying it. She likes amigurumi. Thank you so much for watching to the end of my tutorial. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're not already. I have a whole lot of crochet and yarn content that goes up daily on this channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any comments for this particular tutorial. I'm always interested in feedback, and share with your friends because that helps my channel grow, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you again. I'll see you in another video.